The German Army General Staff is due here in less than an hour.
You remember the fence, the guard tower, the barracks, the fake smiles, the secret tunnel under the floor, and Colonel Hogan standing inside a prison camp, acting like he owned the place. You remember Sergeant Schultz walking in at the worst possible moment, seeing everything, hearing everything, and then saying the words millions of Americans never forgot.
You caught us red-handed.
I know nothing. For years, Hogan's Heroes felt like one of the strangest comedies on classic American TV. A sitcom, inside a Nazi prison camp. A laugh track, inside World War II. A group of prisoners running secret missions under the noses of their captors. It should not have worked. But somehow it did. Families watched it in living rooms. Fathers laughed at Schultz.
Kinch?
Yes, Kinch does the best.
All right, it's all set.
Kids
Now, this
repeated
is-
the catchphrases. Veterans saw the war turned into something lighter. And for 30 minutes, Stalag 13 did not feel like a nightmare. It felt like a joke. But 61 years later, the joke feels different. Because the Hogan's Heroes cast then and now story is not just about who got older. It is not just about who passed away. It is not just about where they are today. It is about the tragic truth behind one of America's most impossible sitcoms. Bob Crane is gone. Werner Klemperer is gone. John Banner is gone. Robert Clary is gone. Richard Dawson is gone. Ivan Dixon is gone. Larry Hovis is gone. Kenneth Washington is gone. And now, after the death of the final surviving main cast member, Stalag 13 has no original regulars left standing.
Yes.
This is General Bornemann calling from Berchtesgaden.
The prisoners are gone. The commandant is gone. Schultz is gone. LeBeau is gone. Newkirk is gone. Carter is gone. Kinchloe is gone. Baker is gone. The camp still exists in reruns. But the people who made it alive are no longer here. This is Hogan's Heroes cast then and now 2026, and the real question is not only, who's still alive after 61 years? The real question is, how did a comedy about captivity end up hiding so much real pain? Before we go deeper, if you grew up with Hogan's Heroes, The Andy Griffith Show, The Beverly Hillbillies, Get Smart, Happy Days, or any classic American TV show that still feels like home, subscribe now. Because this channel is not just about old TV memories, it is about the real lives, behind the shows America never forgot.
Beginning right here.
Now open the file marked Stalag 13. At first, Hogan's Heroes looked simple. Colonel Hogan was the charming American leader. The prisoners were clever. The Germans were foolish. The camp was supposed to be secure, but Hogan and his men were running a secret Allied operation underneath it. They had radios, tunnels, hidden doors, disguises, contacts, messages, explosives, and a level of confidence that made prison look like headquarters. But here's the first hard shock. The show was funny because it made danger look controlled. Real war was not controlled. Real camps were not funny. Real families were destroyed. Real soldiers did not get a laugh track. And some of the people on that set knew that better than anyone watching at home.
Hogan! I can't do that. Schultz, take him back to his barracks and see to it that he stays
That
there.
is what makes Hogan's Heroes different from every other cast then and now story. Gilligan's Island had an island. Happy Days had a jukebox. Get Smart had control and chaos. The Beverly Hillbillies had oil. But Hogan's Heroes had something darker. A prison camp built as a joke by people whose real lives had been touched by war. Start with Bob Crane. Colonel Robert Hogan. The smile. The confidence. The cap tilted just right. The man who could stand in front of Colonel Klink, lie directly to his face, and somehow make the lie feel patriotic. Hogan was not just a prisoner. He was the man secretly running the place. He made captivity look like command. He made danger look like a game.
Business. So when you say, I'm the guy that plays Hogan's Heroes, oh, that one, you know. So
he made viewers believe that the right kind of American confidence could outsmart anything. The audience believed Bob Crane was the perfect TV hero. But the opposite truth is this. Behind that smile was one of the darkest endings in Hollywood history. Before Hogan's Heroes, Crane had been a radio star. He had timing, charm, a clean-cut image, the kind of face television trusted. Then Hogan made him famous. Really famous. He became the center of one of the most unusual sitcoms ever made. For 6 seasons, America watched him win. Every week, Hogan beat Klink. Hogan fooled Schultz. Hogan escaped disaster. Hogan kept the mission alive. But after the show ended, the clean image began to crack.
Come on, Colonel, just because there's a war on and we're enemies.
Crane struggled to find another role as powerful as Hogan. The character had been too perfect, too recognizable, too tied to him. That is the trap of classic TV fame. A role can make you immortal and still trap you inside one uniform forever. Then came the ending no fan expected. In 1978, Bob Crane was found murdered in Scottsdale, Arizona. He was only 49. 49. Too young. The case became one of Hollywood's most infamous mysteries. There were investigations. There were accusations. There was a trial years later. But the murder remains tied to questions that never gave fans a clean answer. That is why Bob Crane's story still feels disturbing. Colonel Hogan always had a plan. Bob Crane's final chapter had no neat ending, no laugh track, no clever escape, no secret tunnel. Just silence.
Use the breach of military etiquette, sir. The men aren't used to having generals sneaking in on them.
And once you know that, Hogan's grin feels different. Every time he smiles at Klink, every time he says something clever, every time he acts like he has already won, you remember that the actor behind him did not get a television ending. He got a mystery. Then there was Werner Klemperer. Colonel Wilhelm Klink. The monocle, the stiff posture, the vanity, the nervous pride. The commandant who wanted to look powerful but was usually the easiest man in the room to fool. Klink was ridiculous. But he was not random. He was a very specific kind of ridiculous. A man addicted to rank, a man desperate to please authority. A man who wanted respect so badly, he never realized the prisoners were running circles around him. The audience believed Werner Klemperer was simply playing a foolish Nazi officer.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Particularly in the theater. I'm talking about backstage in my dressing room.
I mean,
but the opposite truth is this. Klemperer had fled Nazi Germany as a child with his family. His father was the famous conductor Otto Klemperer. His family understood exactly what that regime meant. So why would he play Colonel Klink? That question follows the show even now. The answer is part of what makes Hogan's Heroes so strange. Klemperer reportedly accepted the role because Klink was always the loser. He did not want to portray a Nazi as strong. He wanted the joke to be on him. And every week it was. Klink lost. Hogan won. The prisoners survived. The commandant looked foolish. That was the hidden revenge. But even that knowledge does not make the show simple. It makes it more complicated.
Oh, Hogan, you wouldn't know about that, but the Schatzi Toy Company is the biggest toy company.
Because when you watch Klink now, you are not just watching a comedy villain. You are watching a refugee from Nazi Germany, turning the image of Nazi authority into a fool. That is powerful. Werner Klemperer won 2 Emmy Awards for the role. He continued working in television, film, and music. But to millions, he remained Klink. He died in 2000, at age 80 from cancer. And now the commandant of Stalag 13 is gone too. The man who made power look foolish was taken by something no rank could stop. Then there was Sergeant Schultz. John Banner, the big face, the warm confusion, the nervous smile. the man who knew too much and survived by claiming he knew nothing. If you watched Hogan's Heroes with your father or your grandfather, you probably remember Schultz first. He was the one people imitated. He was the one who made the camp feel less threatening. He was the one who could walk into a scene, see Hogan breaking every rule in the German army, and still choose blindness. I know nothing. That line became American television history, but here is the painful part. John Banner was Jewish. He was born in what was then Austria-Hungary. He escaped after the Nazi takeover of Austria. And much of his family was killed in the Holocaust. Think about that. The actor who played the lovable German guard had personally lost family to the real horror behind the uniform. That is not just trivia. That is the emotional center of the whole show.
You seem to have forgotten which side you are on, especially when Colonel Klink is out.
Schultz was funny because he refused to see. But John Banner had seen enough in real life. And maybe that is why the character felt strangely human. Schultz was supposed to be the enemy. But Banner made him soft. Fearful, hungry, tired. A man who wanted to survive the war without being sent to the Russian front. He was not a hero, but he was not Klink either. He was a man trying not to be destroyed by the machine around him. That is why older viewers still remember him. He made fear funny without making the real fear disappear. John Banner died in 1973 on his 63rd birthday from an abdominal hemorrhage, only 2 years after Hogan's Heroes ended. Schultz had always said he knew nothing. But fans now know the truth. The man behind the joke carried more history than the audience ever saw. And then there was Robert Clary. Corporal Louis LeBeau, the French cook. Small, fast, sharp, always moving, always cooking, always insulting the Germans with a smile. LeBeau brought life into the barracks. Food, energy, warmth, a kind of defiant Frenchness that made captivity feel less dead. The audience believed Robert Clary was simply playing a funny French prisoner. But the opposite truth is this. Robert Clary was a Holocaust survivor. He was deported as a teenager. He survived concentration camps. His parents were murdered. Many members of his family were murdered. He lived through the real thing the sitcom could never show. That changes the entire meaning of Hogan's Heroes, because when LeBeau crawls through tunnels, when he jokes with Hogan,
I would say that the rest of his cast was very liberal Democrats.
When he serves food, when he faces German officers, you are watching a survivor turn pain into performance. Clary later explained that Hogan's Heroes was about a prisoner of war camp, not a concentration camp. That distinction mattered to him. But still, for viewers in 2026, his presence makes the show feel haunted. He had an Auschwitz tattoo. He had memories no laugh track could touch. And yet he chose to perform. He chose to keep living. He chose to work. He chose to make people laugh. That is not denial. That is survival. Robert Clary died in 2022 at age 96. For a time, he was one of the last living links to the main cast.
They respected my silence. I must say about my family. Don't want to talk about it? Fine.
When he died, the barracks felt emptier, and now, knowing what he survived, LeBeau is not just the cook anymore. He is one of the strongest human stories in classic American TV. Then came Richard Dawson. Corporal Newkirk. The British accent, the card tricks, the quick hands, the confidence of a man who could turn a prison camp into a stage. Newkirk was the magician, the pickpocket, the performer, the man who could slip into a disguise and make it look easy. The audience believed Richard Dawson was simply the charming British comic relief. But the opposite truth is this. Dawson's biggest fame came after Hogan's Heroes. He became a major television personality. a star on Match Game, then the host of Family Feud.
LA, same place I lived. I came to America in '62.
For many Americans, Richard Dawson was not only Newkirk, he was the man kissing contestants, joking with families, and turning game shows into appointment television. But his Hogan's Heroes years still mattered. They gave him the stage. They sharpened the charm. They introduced him to millions. Dawson died in 2012 at age 79 from complications related to esophageal cancer. And when you look back now, Newkirk feels like another man who escaped Stalag 13 every week but could not escape time. Then there was Ivan Dixon, Sergeant James Kinchloe, Kinch, the radio man, the calm one, the one who often kept communication alive. In a show about secret operations, Kinch was essential.
To all colonels, the war goes poorly.
He was the man connecting the barracks to the outside world. Messages, signals, information. Without him, Hogan's secret war could not function. The audience believed Ivan Dixon was just one member of the team. But the opposite truth is this. His role carried quiet importance. In the 1960s, a black actor holding a regular role on a major network sitcom mattered, and Dixon brought dignity to Kinch. He did not play him as foolish. He did not reduce him to a gag. He made him capable. Calm, necessary. After leaving Hogan's Heroes, Ivan Dixon became a respected director. He directed episodes of major television shows. He built a second career behind the camera. That makes his story powerful. He was not just part of the mission.
Don't think about it. He said, you'll want to do this.
He later helped shape other people's stories. Ivan Dixon died in 2008 at age 76 from complications connected to kidney failure. Kinch is gone now. But his radio still feels symbolic. The man who kept the messages moving became another voice we can only hear in reruns. Then there was Larry Hovis, Sergeant Carter, the explosives man, the nervous energy, the boyish face, the guy who could be sweet one moment and dangerous with demolition the next. Carter made the team feel younger, less polished, more human. He was not Hogan's smooth confidence. He was the anxious part of the mission. The part that reminded you something could go wrong. The audience believed Larry Hovis was just a goofy explosives expert.
Lieutenant Carter, hi, remember me? How are you? How you doing, buddy?
But the opposite truth is this. He was also a writer, a producer, a performer with a broader career than many viewers realized. After Hogan's Heroes, he worked in television, game shows, and teaching. He helped others understand performance. That is the quiet kind of legacy. Not always loud, not always famous, but real. Larry Hovis died in 2003 at age 67 from cancer. And Carter's old scenes now feel bittersweet. The man who played with fake explosions was taken by a real illness. Then there was Kenneth Washington. Sergeant Richard Baker. He joined in the final season after Ivan Dixon left. For some fans, he is less remembered than Kinch. But his story matters deeply now.
I'm so tired of panties blue. Everybody.
Because Kenneth Washington became the final surviving main cast member of Hogan's Heroes. That means for years, while everyone else from the main lineup had passed, he was the last man connected to the barracks. The last regular cast witness. The last living piece of Stalag 13's main family. Then in 2025, Kenneth Washington died. He was 88. And with that, the last main cast member was gone. That is the fact that makes this 2026 story feel final. This is no longer only then and now. This is then and memory. Because there is no original main regular left to update. Only guests. Only relatives. Only interviews. Only reruns. Only us, watching the old camp lights flicker again. And we cannot tell the story without mentioning the women of Hogan's heroes, too. Cynthia Lynn. Helga.
Hitler's birthday.
Oh.
Sigrid Valdis. Hilda. Nita Talbot. Maria. They gave the show charm, danger, and glamour. Cynthia Lynn died in 2014. Sigrid Valdis, who married Bob Crane, died in 2007. Nita Talbot is still remembered by fans for Maria, one of the recurring characters who made the world outside the barracks feel bigger. But the heart of the show was always the prison team, and the German officers surrounding them. And the strangest part remains this: several actors who played German officers had Jewish backgrounds or had fled the Nazis themselves. Werner Klemperer, John Banner, Leon Askin. Others connected to the show also carried histories that made the comedy more layered than it looked. So when critics ask, how could anyone make a comedy set in a Nazi prison camp?
I can't believe it. Are you sure the war is over?
The answer is not simple. Maybe it worked because the show never let the Nazis win. Maybe it worked because the prisoners were always smarter. Maybe it worked because the men in authority were fools. Maybe it worked because some of the actors had earned the right to mock the monster. And maybe, for the American families watching in the 1960s, it gave them a way to laugh at something that still frightened them. That is what classic TV sometimes did. It took fear and made it safe enough to sit with. But time removes the safety. Now when you watch Hogan's Heroes, you see two shows at once. The first show is the one you remember. The funny one. The clever one. The one with tunnels, radios, disguises, Schultz pretending not to notice, Klink being fooled, Hogan smiling like he had already won. But the second show is the one you only see later in life.
Like a cigar?
Thank you, Colonel.
The one where Bob Crane's murder waits in the future. The one where Robert Clary's past sits quietly behind every scene. The one where John Banner's family losses hide behind a catchphrase. The one where Werner Klemperer turns tyranny into comedy. The one where Kenneth Washington becomes the last survivor, then leaves too. That second show is not as easy to laugh at, but it is more powerful. Because now Stalag 13 is not only a set, it is a memory room. Every bunk holds a ghost, every tunnel leads backward, every joke has a shadow, and every character feels like someone time slowly removed from roll call. Now look at the final roll call. Bob Crane, gone. Werner Klemperer, gone. John Banner, gone. Robert Clary, gone. Richard Dawson, gone.
The war is over.
That's right, General. Haven't you heard?
Ivan Dixon, gone. Larry Hovis, gone. Kenneth Washington, gone. Cynthia Lynn, gone. Sigrid Valdis, gone. The original main regulars, all gone. That is the brutal truth after 61 years. No one escaped time. Not Hogan, not Klink, not Schultz, not LeBeau, not Newkirk, not Kinch, not Carter, not Baker. The secret tunnels could move men in and out of Stalag 13, but they could not move anyone out of life's final ending. And that is why Hogan's Heroes may be the strongest story in this whole series. Because it was always about escape. Escaping the camp, escaping the guards, escaping danger, escaping discovery. But real life gave the cast missions they could not outsmart.
Any prisoner who carries on sabotage or espionage act.
War trauma, typecasting, cancer, murder, aging, grief, silence, and memory. So the next time you hear Schultz say, "I know nothing," listen differently. Maybe he is not only being funny. Maybe he is carrying the terrible wish to not see what the world has done. When Hogan smiles, maybe you are not only watching a charming prisoner. Maybe you are watching a man whose real ending still feels unsolved. When LeBeau cooks, maybe you are not only watching a French corporal. Maybe you are watching a Holocaust survivor choosing life. When Klink panics, maybe you are not only watching a fool. Maybe you are watching a refugee make evil look ridiculous. And when the theme begins, Maybe you are not only returning to a sitcom, maybe you are returning to a strange American memory where war became comedy and comedy became a memorial.
Hey, boy? Yeah. He's trying to get home. Bet she's pretty hot, huh?
That is the strange mercy of television. It cannot change what happened. It cannot bring back the cast. It cannot solve Bob Crane's murder. It cannot restore Robert Clary's family. It cannot give John Banner back what history took. It cannot make the last surviving regular live forever. But it can open the barracks door one more time. It can let Hogan walk in again. It can let Schultz pretend he saw nothing. It can let Klink lose again. It can let LeBeau smile again. It can let Kinch send one more message. It can let Carter prepare one more explosion. It can let Newkirk hide one more card. It can let the mission continue, even after the actors are gone. Drop a comment.
Although you weren't really sneaky, you just sort of surprised him. Why, you certainly did. Didn't he, fellas?
Right, sir. I never been...
Which Hogan's Heroes cast member's story hit you the hardest? Was it Bob Crane, the TV hero whose real death became a mystery? Robert Clary, the Holocaust survivor who turned pain into performance? John Banner, the man who made Schultz lovable after losing family to the real war? Werner Klemperer, the refugee who made Nazi authority look foolish? Ivan Dixon, the quiet radio man who built a second career behind the camera? Or Kenneth Washington, the final surviving main cast member, whose death closed the last living door to Stalag 13? And if you grew up with Hogan's Heroes, The Andy Griffith Show, The Brady Bunch, The Waltons, Happy Days, or any classic American TV show from television's golden years, subscribe. Because the next Cast Then and Now story goes even deeper into the stars America loved.
Ridiculous.
Silly.
Impossible.
Out of the question.
I will not waste any more time on it. It's out of my mind.
And the real lives fame could not protect. Be honest, when you watch Hogan's Heroes now, does it still feel like a harmless old comedy? Or does it feel like Stalag 13 was hiding the saddest mission of them all?